Our next speaker is Professor Rucinski from University of New Hampshire. He's actually in engineering school there, so he's probably going to bring more of an engineering outlook to that.
Thank you very much. Promises, promises. As a real engineer, it's going to take me more time to master this device. I apologize. I'm Andrzej Rucinski, and thank you very much for the privilege of being here. And I'm happy to serve as an ambassador for ASIP. But after being inspired by all the great talks in the morning, I feel like not just an ambassador, I feel like an apostle of ASIP. And my talk is going to be about some of the ideas I would like to bring to pay back the privilege of being a part of ASIP. Well, that's who I am. Never give up. I also, I'm working very, very hard over the last couple of years on the challenge of global engineering education. And I'm one of those professors who is thinking outside the box, because if you think about the world which is global, and if you think about the academia, which is still very local, that's a great challenge, and I consciously took a step to change this equation with some difficulties, but also with great rewards. So one of the things what I would like to bring to your attention is the concept of service engineering. Service engineering as such, as the name, has been used in a variety of configurations. I found several different definitions using the wording service engineering. In my case, service engineering is a method or methodology, how to establish, how to develop service ecosystems. So by no means I do not pretend that the proposed list of buzzwords I'm proposing is the final, it's in the final shape, but this is what I would like to see as the first cut. Service science would be used as a basic for design specification. IoT, Internet of Things, would be used as a technology drive. Service analysis would be really to assess the existing situation of a certain targeting environment, to what extent service science can be introduced into this environment and how quickly. And finally, the most important part is to create an environment when we can negotiate and discuss the situation to create value, to develop the value for creation. My adventure with service science started a year ago, and I was really obsessed with the idea and knowing the history, how the service science came to its existence. I think this is an outstanding concept. And as a newcomer, as I said before, I'm trying to pay back the fact that I can work with ASIP and with you. I'm not going to talk to you what service science is all about. Also, I'm not going to talk to you about what ASIP is all about. However, I would like to say a couple of words about the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is one of those disruptive technologies using distance sense term. And the reason why ASIP is in California and not in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is not an accident, because according to the theory of disruptive innovation developed by Christensen, simply the Route 128 in Massachusetts failed to recognize a new paradigm of using business in innovation. So that's why we are here. So let me just stress once again that the Internet of Things I consider as an exponentially disruptive technology, which will change our work in a decade or maybe less in several areas of our activities, including things like social life, education, and health services. Which brings an interesting thing what's happening right now with academia as far as current challenges in education are concerned. And this slide is one of the core slides which I would like to bring to your attention, and hopefully we can discuss this after or during the panel and after that. This current generation of face-to-face curricula, when you have a cathedral type of arrangement with a professor being a centralized point, being a guru with students surrounding the professor. This is the arrangement, by the way, we are experiencing right now. This paradigm is being challenged by so-called MOOC type of approach, pushed by MIT and Stanford. And essentially, as we all know, it is the question how much the internet can change the existing educational paradigm. As you can see, this era in education is still an ongoing discussion, which is reflected by the number of terms I provided for your information, which violates essentially the principle of having a proper slide which should not contain more than, let's say, 10 words per slide. So we all know that MOOC is not a solution, it's just a catalyst for change. So for example, if we take a look at MOOC, and somebody would follow the idea of MOOC, then the question would be, how many professors in the world we need to teach DSP? Maybe we need just one person, Nobel Prize winner in DSP, okay? And this person is going to teach DSP for everybody in the world, okay? So we do understand the deficiencies of the existing MOOC type of approach. If you look at +2 generation, down below the slide, we are talking about the concept of MOOC. So the massive online open courses has been replaced with one letter only, L, which stands for laboratory. And this approach, this is not my term, was developed by Professor Michael Auer from Austria, is essentially modifying the concept of MOOC by adding a laboratory component. Because obviously we have to, especially in engineering, we have to make sure that there's some hands-on experimentation and experience. What I'm proposing is to go one generation ahead and restore the balance and the need for having a direct interaction between students and professors. And trying to have this balance when we still have this human type of things. And I can see the potential of service science, and in this particular case, service education, playing a substantial role. So I propose a term, just for the convenience of it, which is called MOOC. MOOC does include this laboratory experience, is based on the experience provided by MOOC, but S stands for service. So this is something I would like to discuss with you and hear your opinion. And obviously, as Yassi mentioned this morning, since Isaac is sort of migrating towards addressing grand challenges, I would argue that education would become one of those grand challenges to be embraced by Isaac. So, to make this concept practical, I would also bring to your attention the fact that it is possible to publicize service science not just for existing venue of conferences, traditional networking, but one can also think about organizing a network of a series of workshops. And these workshops can target different groups of people. And this slide does provide a list of proposed customers for those workshops. So for example, if you look at the bottom of this slide, you can think about so-called smart students being mentored by Isaac. On the other hand, if you look at the top of this slide, you can think about targeting and discussing an interest in the concept of service science to global experts looking at global great challenges issues. So just to make sure that those concepts are not just theoretical concepts, let me just say that we have developed the whole educational system at the University of New Hampshire, which essentially, purposely, reduces substantially the need for so-called traditional electronics labs. So you can see a picture of one of our labs at the university, which has been replaced by the cloud-based system, which we developed, open source system, with nodes, which employ very inexpensive microeconomics technologies. For example, students can go to a library and borrow those technologies as needed in a similar way as they are borrowing books. They can go home and they can do their experiments at any place, any time, in any fashion they want, provided obviously that they do this in a timely fashion. So this is one of the models how those workshops can be conducted. 2 points. There are 4 different modules, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first one, which introduced the concept of service science, followed by the introduction of the Internet of Things. The third one is a hands-on experience with provided technologies. And the fourth one, which is the essence of the whole workshop, is a discussion with a targeted group about value co-creation, based on the knowledge learned from modules number 1, 2, and 3. So that's an organizational comment which I would like to bring to your attention. There's also another thing. As you can see, there are 2 versions of the Vitruvian Man at the bottom of this slide. And I do see an opportunity of service science, and particularly ISO, as a very elite organization which may have a mission of introducing and restoring the image of a Renaissance engineer. This traditional classic engineer from the 16th century, essentially, this was a situation: if this is Tuesday, I'm going to carve something. If this is Wednesday, I'm going to picture something. If this is Friday, I'm going to write a poem. I think the fact that you have such a broad view on things can be used as a great resource to restore this Renaissance spirit in the graduates of our and future universities. And some case studies. As I mentioned before, I'm a sort of a global engineer speaking using broken English, which is the most popular language in the world. And just to make sure that what I'm proposing is well placed in the network of existing projects: North America, Europe, Central Asia, India, and Africa, and some combinations, including the fact that there's a great program of IBM Smarter Planet, which I'm a part of, which also can be used for that purpose. So thank you very much for your attention.